Stephen King, the master of suspense, comes his all-time bestseller.
Containment breach! We've had a major containment breach! Use the manual gate override, Cassius! Do it now! Cassius! You have to close the gate!
A deadly virus released by a government mistake. A frantic military willing to stop at nothing to cover up the terrible truth.
The so-called super flu does not exist.
What did you do? What did you people do?
As the plague sweeps out of control, a nation erupts, society crumbles, the end is here.
The monster's here! The darkness here!
Now, all that remains, the demon, the prophet, and those chosen to survive. Drawn by dreams of an old woman,
Be coming along to see me, won't you, laugh?
the chosen ones stream to Colorado to find their dreams are real.
Help us to be true, dear Lord. Help us to stand.
In Las Vegas, an army of darkness assembles, controlled by dreams of their leader, Randall Flagg.
Go for it.
Do it, Harold! Do it!
Time to make your stand.
The ultimate stand against the forces of evil. Molly Ringwald, Rob Lowe, Laura San Giacomo, Gary Sinise, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Ruby Dee, and Jamie Sheridan. Stephen King's The Stand.
Hey everybody, it's Next Planet Over, the podcast devoted to sci-fi, fantasy, and horror TV shows. I'm your host, Michael, and Mindy's on the other side joining me for another episode where we discuss a Stephen King miniseries.
Maybe we should just keep doing that, because I have a whole collection.
Dude, that's right, you got the collection with the Paramount movies and the miniseries. What miniseries did you get on there?
I forget which ones, but there was a whole bunch I hadn't seen before, so I can tell you later when I look at it.
The one
Langoliers.
Yeah, the Langoliers, you know what? Almost chronological order. We did skip the stand. No, I'm sorry, the stand. We're doing the stand. Hey, everybody, we're doing the stand. We just skipped it. It is a weird one because they remade it into something better. Now, the first half of it is phenomenal. The second half of it is garbage. I think it's so amazing that you get all these Emmy-winning actors and they're terrible. They're like trying to out-ham each other.
I think that might have something to do with the 90s.
Maybe.
Just in general.
Then the next one. What is this? The next one after it? I feel like there was a oh no, the Golden Years, which is sort of a mini series in the fact that it wasn't movies. It was.
I think that one might be in the collection too. I'll just look at it later and tell you. I'm not sure.
There's one that I didn't like. That's the one with the alien invasion with Jimmy Smits. What's that one called?
I don't know. There's a lot of, I realize that there's a lot of Stephen King stuff I haven't seen.
Tommy Knockers.
I thought I had seen more than I really have, you know?
Yeah. I remember liking Rose Red quite a bit.
I did like Rose Red, yes.
Desperation was one.
Collection.
We both got so angry, and I was listening to a podcast with Henry Thomas. And with the director of this miniseries, Mick Garris, and he was talking like, well, in desperation, we wanted to throw everybody for a loop. You think you're going to lead, follow Henry Thomas through the whole thing, and then he dies in the first 15 minutes. Spoilers. And we were so upset. I don't think I finished it.
I think I might have blocked that one out because I don't really remember that movie.
Yeah.
But that being said, how many years ago did we watch it? I mean, I didn't remember that much about this series either.
Now, this one I've seen quite a bit, and I had watched it when I was at your house. You still had it on VHS, shockingly, in 2014. I just found it in your garage.
Really?
Yeah, it's buried down there somewhere, unless you got rid of it. I have the...
I must still have it.
Now, this was released on video by Republic Pictures. And Republic Pictures went out of business somewhere in the late 90s. So a big chunk of their catalog has just been floating around. But Artisan, God, it's so confusing. Artisan put it out on DVD just before everything went to crap for both companies. So I have like the full-fledged uncut version with the commentary by the cast. And is this the version that you had, like all 4 parts?
It's broken up in 4 episodes like
Okay.
it originally aired. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because there is a truncated
yes.
version of this where they took out, I think, an hour or more to compress it. Because when it was on VHS, it was a very large set. So, back then they were recorded with 2 movies, which is an hour and a half each, per tape. But then, like, as Republic Pictures was going out of business, they're desperate for cash. They crushed it down into some like really long tape. The longer it goes, the worse the quality. But they also cut out footage.
Well, I definitely sat through 6 hours of this movie. Okay. That's how long the original one was, right?
I believe it's 6 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. This is probably the height of his Stephen King fever. And they put a ton of money into this. I mean, it doesn't seem like much now, but back then, a $20 million miniseries was a lot of cash.
Mm-hmm. At the time, it seemed pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you not like it this time around?
I had some issues with it.
There's a couple things that bug me. I think that Molly Ringwald is horribly miscast. It was painful watching her.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, when it was, I watched it when it was originally on, right? We watched it when it came on TV in 1994. I mean, I haven't seen it since then.
Oh, okay. See, I've seen it like 4 or 5 times since then.
See, so I think that's the difference for me. It's like, when you revisit things you haven't seen since you were a kid, everything seems kind of different.
Yeah. See, I didn't have those long gaps when I watched it, so it didn't seem like... so the CGI is shit, and they reuse it over and over and over.
It's terrible.
You're like, oof, God, that looks bad.
The special effects are terrible, and a lot of the dialogue is really, really cheesy. Just so awkward.
Okay, so here's the good stuff. I remember being heartbroken. This is spoiler filled, so let's just go with this. Heartbroken when Rob Lowe was taken out 3/4 of the way through, like just devastated because they had to find an actor who was very empathetic, not in that we would connect through him, because he's a very giving person, but he's also not going to be the kind of person who just lets people walk all over him, because there's a couple of moments where he has to be very strong. And then all of a sudden they just gut it. And you're like, what? What the hell? I don't think Gary Sinise is anywhere nearly as compelling as Rob Lowe was.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's something about him, about Rob Lowe, or at least about his character, that was very obviously very expressive and emotional, without, having, 10 lines in the whole movie, and that was only in the dream sequences. I mean, you have to be a pretty good actor to convey that much with no dialogue.
And it's funny, this weird crossroads where a lot of these actors were on the down end of their career, and a lot of them were about to break through. I mean, this was Gary Sinise's, I think, second major role he had done of Mice and Men. For the most part, he had been known for doing either directorial work or stage play stuff, and this just like broke him out. And then 6 months later is when we had Forrest Gump. Maybe not even that long.
Oh, I don't know how close it was, but I definitely remember thinking that I recognized a lot of the people, originally when I watched it, when it first came out.
Yeah.
I recognized a lot of the people except for him.
Molly Ringwald had kind of disappeared for a little while. I think after Betsy's Wedding, this is like her first project. So I don't know if it was meant for a comeback. It didn't really work for her, though. It seemed like it kind of stalled out.
Yeah, it did seem kind of, you're right, miscast and awkward. There was a lot of awkwardness in this movie.
I think Jamie Sheridan is amazing as Randall Flagg. Now, is Randall Flagg the same character that Matthew McConaughey plays in The Dark Tower? Am I wrong?
Oh, I'm not sure. They have similar. They're a little bit similar, but I don't remember. Oh man, I really didn't like the Dark Tower. So
Yeah, that movie's pretty awful. I'm looking it up right now. I'm probably wrong
no,
about
his
this.
name's. Instead, his character's name is Walter.
Oh,
So
okay. So
I
I thought
don't
it was
think
Randall
so.
Flagg in that one too. Now I thought Jamie Sheridan was really good, but that mullet is definitely of 1994.
Yeah, his mullet and he was a little erratic, but I guess that's what you expect from like a, you know, eccentric leader.
Right. Well, I mean, he's supposed to be the embodiment of Satan, and
No, I know.
yeah, he's emotionally damaged, he's fragile, and he has very little patience, and he has to hide behind that human shell. And it's almost appropriate the human shell that he thinks is going to be awesome is a fucking douchebag.
Yeah, like his weird swagger and the
Yeah.
like
Y'all see Skinner
the
this weekend?
really dorky song he sings at like the last episode, and oh god, it was weird. It got real weird.
Speaking of songs, I cannot think of "Don't Fear the Reaper" without thinking of this miniseries.
Mhm.
It was a really
You
good
know
way.
what's weird is that I know that he did a lot of stuff before this and after this, but the only thing I can think of him is I think that he was in a made-for-TV movie where he played one of Elizabeth Taylor's husbands,
Okay, that's weird.
and that's all I can remember.
I feel like he was in some detective lawyer show that was critically acclaimed. Shannon's Deal. Shannon's Deal. That's it. It was created by John Sayles.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, is that it?
I
Was it
see
called
it.
Shannon's
It
Deal?
was. There was a TV movie. Was there? Oh, and then a TV show. You're right. I see it now.
Yeah, it got a lot of critical acclaim. Just people didn't watch it, which is a shame. And I think now he's on one of those Law and Order, CSI, NCIS, one of those procedurals.
I didn't realize that he played Oliver Queen's father on
Oh shit, that's
Arrow.
right. I've totally forgot about
I
that.
never put that together somehow. That's weird.
This
Oh
this
well.
miniseries is one of the few where it doesn't feel like it's shot in California. A lot of these movies and TV shows around this area always look like they're on a backlot in California, but they clearly went around the country. It looks like Maine. It looks like
Yeah,
Colorado. It looks like Vegas. I mean, they did a really
I
good job.
agree. Yeah, I was thinking about all those Vegas scenes and how they must have filmed in like, the old section of Las Vegas.
Right. What is that called? It's
Um,
with the one with the Fremont district, right?
yeah, I think that's what it's called. I don't know.
It's the one where I went,
But
where me and Scott went,
no, yes,
that thing where you hook yourself up. What the hell's that called? Besides
oh, zip lining?
zip lining, thank you.
Is
I
that
was
what it's
like,
called?
I pee my pants as I go flying by. I still can't believe they
I
didn't let
thought
me
you
wear
were
my
gonna.
glasses. So dumb.
I thought you were gonna say about eating at that heart attack burger
Oh,
place.
right, yeah. Can I have the quadruple bypass? I'm not going to leave here. This is where I die.
Anyway, I just was thinking how they were so lucky that they filmed it before they toured it. They got rid of a lot of those hotels and
Right. Well,
so
and
much
the
of
signs,
that.
they got rid of and put in
Right.
that sky view thing with we watched the movies playing, the rock videos or whatever that's called.
Yes.
The Fremont
Yes.
Experience.
Yes. Well, they also, I hope they kept most of that stuff in the Neon Museum
Uh-huh.
that you can visit. But anyway, besides the point, I was just thinking, oh, that's really cool. It's at least it's preserved in a movie.
You know the scene where they shoot it at Ray Walston's country home? That was so gorgeous. I never wanted them to leave.
I know. Why did they leave? They shouldn't have left. It would have. So here's the comment from Scott after we finished the last episode this morning. He said, "This was the biggest waste of 6 hours of my whole life. Nothing happened in this stupid movie."
Wow. Okay, now as a younger man, I was very disappointed in something. Now, I love the first 3 quarters. Now, this was only my imagination getting away with me. Because in 8th grade, one of my cohorts was reading The Stand. Oddly enough, from a guy who I didn't even know knew how to read. Until that moment, I thought he was illiterate because he would never do his homework. He never paid attention. But he's sitting there reading The Stand, and it's the thickest, massive book I've ever seen. I don't know if there's ever been a fiction novel. Is there a fiction novel that's bigger than The Stand? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure there's a couple that rival it. I mean, I know it's gigantic, which is part of the reason why I've never read it.
Yeah, same here.
But there's a few that probably rival it.
But I remember
But it is
seeing
massive.
and on the cover it has, like these two guys going at it, and I'm like, what is this about? And he goes, you ever read Lord of the Rings? They go, no, and he goes, it's kind of like that, where it's this massive army of the good and evil going against each other, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. And I watch the movie, and I'm like, where's the battle? It's over? I don't understand what just happened. What a huge disappointment. Yeah. But as I've gotten older, I am completely okay. In fact, it makes a lot more sense because it's not about this massive visual war. If you go with the way that, if you're a religious person, God has a plan for everything. I mean, this is what it's about. It really is about God. And to ignore that is
it's
ridiculous.
About faith, yeah.
Yeah, and he set up things in a certain pattern, and it worked out for the best. If they went to war, there'd be so few people that survived. But everything, like killing Rob Lowe off by having the bomb, whatever, it gets them most of them out of the house, and it eliminates that. And then, like, Satan gets rid of Corin Nemec's character once he's done with him because he has no use for him because he wants Nadine, and so does Corin Nemec's character wants Nadine. But so you can't have that, so he gets rid of him. So everything works out. He has these patterns, and in order for all the bad guys to get together in downtown Vegas for the bomb to go off and finally to wipe out evil, they had to sacrifice themselves in that horrible fashion. And then the hand of God comes down and puts out, and the trash can man has to be. It's all these pieces that go together. So for it to be a massive action piece wouldn't make any sense now.
Yeah.
So why?
It would defeat the purpose of like the whole point of the book to have them, actually fight back. Right. That's kind of the whole point.
It's about giving himself up. I don't know. There's a weird peace in it all, and I, as a grown up, I appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, I can see that. I was gonna say I really enjoyed some of the things that I really enjoyed was the Stephen King cameo.
They're always great.
And then I also was like, oh wait, isn't that Sam Raimi? So there's Sam Raimi's cameo in the last. It is in the last episode. And then as usual for me, I really enjoyed the whole gamut of Matt Frewer. Every time he was on this, on the TV, I was like, yeah, he's always just so entertaining to watch,
Now think about his performance. 90% of it, 90% covered in horribly suffocating makeup and never backs down for a second in his performance. It's astonishing. He should have gotten an Emmy nomination for it. My jaw was on I totally forgot how great it was.
It's just so, insane, but somehow believable.
Me and Ron used to run around going, Bombsy Bomb, all for you, it's all for you, Bombsy Bomb.
Yeah, he's insane, but that's why the man still working consistently to this day,
And I remember this was kind of like a boost for him because he had come off of, I know Dr. Doctor had come out and that had got canceled. And I think he was in a TV show with Jennifer Love Hewitt called Shaky Ground. And it just seemed like he was kind of in the void there. And then after doing The Stand is when he got Senior Trip, National Lampoon Senior Trip. He did Lawnmower Man 2. And then he was in another Mick Garris production called Quicksilver Highway, which I believe is an adaptation of Clive Barker and Stephen King for Fox.
Interesting. I was just looking it up, and he has 137 credits.
He is a Canadian national treasure, honestly.
Yeah, and I was watching recently. Sorry, what did I watch again that he was in? Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, right, yeah.
I had forgotten that he was in Dawn of the Dead, and I knew that I really, really liked that movie. It's one of the few like horror movies that I really like.
Uh-huh.
But I watched it again after not seeing it for quite some time, and I was like, oh dang, this movie is still so good, and they had such a good cast, and it was just so interesting. And I was so happy to see him in it. But wasn't Mick Garris didn't have anything to do with Dawn of the Dead, did he?
No, actually, I don't know what Mick Garris is directing these days. He seems to be really heavily involved in like anthology television.
Oh,
Actually,
well,
I'm looking
yeah.
right now. Now I know his breakthrough. He was working as a writer on Amazing Stories, and he was Stephen King's like protege, and
Mhm.
he would guide the show. Why can't I find Mick Garris here?
Yeah, I remember that about him too.
And then he did. Oh,
You
well,
know
actually,
what's
this cost way
interesting?
more than I thought it did. This cost $30 million. That was a lot of money back in '94.
Whoa. You know that he was like he was the had the original story for Hocus Pocus or something.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I think he went from Amazing Stories to Critters 2. Then,
Oh, he says he also did Batteries Not Included. Man, I really liked that movie when I was a kid.
that actually started off as an Amazing Stories episode,
Oh,
and
wait,
then
where
they
did I know
decided to
that?
expand upon it. And then he did Psycho 4 with Henry Thomas, and he built a relationship with him there. Then I want to say Sleepwalkers was the next one, and then we go into
Wasn't Hen- was Henry Thomas in Sleepwalkers also?
no, that's the one with the cat
Oh, okay.
people. Um, That's where he
Oh,
started
yeah,
working
that
with
was a
Ron
weird
Perlman.
movie.
And I think it goes The Stand. Then he did The Shining with Steven Weber, which is far superior to the original Shining, which that is blasphemy to most people. But I think Kubrick is a cold, disconnected director who didn't understand Stephen King's work at all. And Mick Garris
Hmm.
totally gets it. And man, Steven Weber gives a hell of a performance.
He really has done he is very, very connected to Stephen King. He's done a lot of Stephen King stuff.
Yeah, and his podcast is really good.
I
Except something bugs me about it is the intro says the guests come on and spill their guts literally to Mick Garris. I'm like, no, that's not. You can't. You're not literally spilling your guts. You actually have to take a knife, cut your guts open, let them spill
Yeah,
out, and it's
that's
just
weird.
driving. I hate it. And it's like literal manipulation.
Have you seen this one called Quicksilver Highway with Christopher Lloyd and Matt Frewer?
That's I, I,
I don't think I've
No,
ever heard of
I just
it.
said that like 5 minutes ago, and you go, "Oh, interesting." I guess you didn't hear me say the name.
Oh, you probably did. I'm sorry. There's a lot to keep up with.
It is a
See,
lot.
there's so many. There's so many.
I will
Okay,
say
Riding the
this:
Bullet. I
we're
kind of
from
remember that.
we're from Indiana, and Trash Can Man blows up a refinery in Powhatanville, Indiana. That is not a thing. That's not a place. That's completely made up.
I did think that was interesting because his flashback from when he was a kid, he was being tormented by a bully, and they were saying that they were gonna like, what they say, they were gonna send him to the loony bin in Terre Haute or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I don't know.
Was it weird seeing Kareem
Or
Abdul-Jabbar in
Trash
this?
Can Man. A little bit. I didn't remember him doing that,
Well, he doesn't normally act.
but I think he writes children's books now.
No kidding. He's really
I'm
smart. He
pretty
writes
sure
these.
he has a pretty.
Yeah. Good.
I'm trying to see how many acting credits he has. He has 32.
Oh wow, I didn't expect that. Well, his big breakthrough was Airplane, but it's funny. There's a
Yeah.
scene in Game of Death at the very end of it, which is a patched together Bruce Lee movie, where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar does kung fu on Bruce Lee, and it's crazy watching because he has these massive legs that are just flipping and flying all over the place. You're like, I don't know what I'm seeing. This is crazy. This isn't normal human movements.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, most of his credits he is playing himself, but that's okay.
Another thing that I would repeat from this miniseries is MOON spells whatever, that would come after that.
I know. That was while watching this movie, I thought, oh my gosh, there's so many things that they could not get away with now.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, Shawnee
especially
Smith calling them like
pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much every interaction with his character, I don't remember that actor's name. Do you know what his name is?
Well, I'm cheating a little bit. I knew it was like I don't know how to say it correctly, but Bill Fagerback, but Coach. He's from
Yeah,
Coach.
I mean, he's like the voice of Patrick on SpongeBob SquarePants.
I knew that, but I don't
And
watch.
also,
I always feel like a fraud if I mention stuff like that and I haven't seen it.
I don't really watch it either, but I think Scott mentioned it when we were watching it. And also, he was Marshall's dad on How I Met Your Mother. So he's still acting, now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely remember, wasn't he on Coach at the time that this movie came out?
I think yeah, because Coach was on. I can't believe it was on for like 9 seasons. I
For a
didn't even
long
remember that.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, most of the interactions, most of his scenes, like they would have to change everything now
Yeah.
if they made this movie now. It was just so awful and inappropriate and cruel and well, of course, would be deemed uh, not acceptable.
But
in
the
these
thing is
times.
that it's done by villainous characters. The people who treat him terribly for the
true.
most part. Same thing for Rob Lowe's character. That one guy. He's the bad guy in everything. Patrick Kilpatrick. In the beginning, he just treats him like shit based on just like, the fact that he's deaf, and always call him deaf and dumb. And at no point is he dumb. He clearly points out that he knows he can read lips, that he can spell his stuff out, and write it down. He's not dumb. He just can't hear and he cannot talk. He's a deaf mute. There's a difference.
Well, people, they don't bother to try to understand those things, figure out the things they don't understand, and so they just are mean about it.
Yeah. There's one actor in this who had a major role in it, and I've never seen him since. And it's Adam Stork as Larry, and he's a musician.
Oh yeah.
And here's the interesting thing with his character is, first off, his song is fucking terrible, and for me to believe that it'll be a top 10 hit, it should have been a good song. But you don't know where his character or Laura San Giacomo's character are going to go. They're the two neutrals. And because you have like Molly Ringwald and Rob Lowe are the good, and then you have Miguel Ferrer and that guy who's the principal on Growing Pains, I can't remember his name. Those guys, even Shawnee Smith, they're obvious bad. But then you go through most of the movie not knowing which direction that Laura San Giacomo's character and Adam Stork, Nadine and Larry are going to go. And that was an interesting dichotomy because Larry starts off as kind of a dick. And you think that Nadine is going to be, the good one. And then they just, through their mental journey, I guess, is when they switch places.
I think she was just a mess because I think she was kind of fighting it the whole time.
Yeah.
What she wanted to be and what he wanted her to be, and I mean even to the bitter end, she was really really messed up.
Right.
And I have to say, man, that last episode there was a lot of death.
Oof, yeah. Clean up shop, I guess.
I guess it was like I had forgotten that there was so much like, oh wow, oh this I forgot about this. Oh man, why does Miguel Ferrer always seem like a bad guy?
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever even been a good guy.
Ever?
Maybe in TV. Wasn't it a TV show called like The Profiler or something like that, or where he was a good guy?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but
he just always seems angry.
Yeah, well, it pays the bills, so hey, he keeps working. Now, the one that got me really excited about watching all this, yes, I was a Stephen King fan, but when I found out Corey Nemec was going to be in this, I got super excited.
I know.
And I really thought this was going to like turn his career around because, Parker Lewis had ended the year before, and it was always kind of a cult show and everything that really broke out. And yes, he did Drop Zone and Operation Dumbo Drop. And then
Drop.
Nothing, just nothing. He had a Paramount movie, a Disney movie, nothing. Just straight to video garbage. I think right after Dumbo Drop, he was in a pilot for a TV show called Rollerblade Squad or something like that.
Oh wow, poor guy.
Yeah,
he really loved that show.
Yeah, he was crippled in a wheelchair, and he's guiding this team. I think it was called Blade Squad, and the bad guy was Scott Fargus from Christmas Story.
I'm trying to find the information because Yeah, I don't know. I do remember being super excited because we really loved Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
To
But
be
yeah,
yeah, to be fair though, he is the only one that still acts. I mean, I don't think anybody else from that show is around. Oh no, that's not true. Abraham Ben Ruby, we see him every once in a while.
oh, I feel like I just saw him on something super recently too, but I can't remember what it is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has tons of acting credits and like a lot of really recent stuff. Tons in 2007, 16, 17, 2018, a ton of upcoming stuff. Well, good for him. I
Now,
don't, I
going
don't,
back to the whole uh, miniseries itself, this feels like one of the last great epic miniseries where it had this massive cast of great names, and up and coming kind of people, lots of locations, big epic story. After this, it just feels like everything got taken over by CGI and it just looks cheap. All those Hallmark miniseries, like the Odyssey and Alice in Wonderland and Gulliver's Travels and
oh,
stuff
I
like
know.
that.
There are some that are actually really good, but they really come off, they don't give a great first impression, in my opinion.
No, the only one that I can think of that had this kind of epic quality to it was Taken.
Oh, that's an excellent point. And I think that had something to do with the fact that wasn't Steven Spielberg involved with that, and it was on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah, I feel like that's where all the miniseries go now is cable.
Well, I'm trying to remember. There's a Hallmark one that we really like. At least I think it was a Hallmark channel. It's called The Tenth Kingdom.
Yeah. You know what?
Did you
That
ever
was
see
pretty good. I
that?
haven't seen that in forever though.
I think um I think we have it on DVD, but it was also on Amazon Prime at one point,
Oh, okay.
and it's like 7 hours long, and but it's so entertaining. There's so many good people who like John Larroquette is so good, Ed O'Neill is so good, Rutger Hauer, like there really is. But what year was that from? 2000.
Okay.
I mean, I do think you're right though that there are,
They always look like they're shot in
you know,
Canada on digital video with low end special effects. Whereas now think about the ones before that's like North and South and Roots. I'm kind of a miniseries aficionado, so I've seen quite a few of them, and it just seemed like they had a whole different feel before, the whole CGI wave.
hmm
Even Langoliers looks a little rough because it was early CGI and Bronson Pinchot was chewing the fucking scenery. That movie looks crazy. I've only seen part of it and I was like, what am I watching? Um, but that is one I do want to attempt. But yeah, Rose Red I think was the last great Stephen King miniseries. I see those things
yeah,
pop up here and
that
there.
was really good.
Yeah. What was the one after that?
I
Diary of
mean,
Ellen Rimbauer was pretty good. Yeah, nothing after that.
I haven't seen that one.
Nightmares and
I
Dreamscapes
thought
was
they
one
were the
that I
same
was
thing.
frustrated with. Like there'd be one great one bad one.
Um, Most of the miniseries that I'm looking at like a kind of a list of the best ones,
Uh-huh.
and I think a lot of them are I don't know Band of Brothers in 2001, but wasn't that like HBO?
Yeah, the sequel is
Um,
horrifying. The stuff in Nightmares, I couldn't even finish it.
oh no, I don't think um, Top of the Lake, but that was like special circumstance. I mean, I think that was sort of newer. Did you ever watch 11/22/63?
Oh,
That
you know
was
what? That was great. I
probably,
really liked that, but that seemed like where
but
the miniseries should be going. I'm shocked that Netflix hasn't bothered to do any miniseries.
so this is Hulu, right? That one was on Hulu.
It
So,
was.
um, and I think I started watching one that's new, um, a new one that's a Stephen King one. What's it called?
Castle Rock?
I'll think of it in a second. Castle Rock. So it's like not actually from a book, but it's part of like I mean it's in his universe or whatever.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah,
Have
yeah,
you
I
have
know
you
exactly what
you've
you're
heard?
talking about. Never mind, I'm being stupid. Yes, of course I know what you're talking about.
No, it's okay. Right? It's not. It's just a lot. Isn't Castle Rock is like the setting for a lot of his
Correct.
stories or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, oh, I liked The Tin Man. That was from 2007, but that was
Yeah.
also I think the Sci-Fi Channel.
So we're kind of
There's
wandering off the range a little bit, but yeah,
yes, we
I
are.
say
Sorry.
definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it. Sadly, I wish that Scott had liked it. What was his? He was just bored.
I think that really it was probably what you were saying, how, you enjoyed the first three episodes and then the last one you're expecting some epic thing, and then it kind of feels like not that much happens, even though it's a lot more it's internal. The struggle and the fight, is more internal,
Right.
and whatever, faith based and psychological than physical. And I think that that's probably what his issue really was.
Okay. So I'm not sure what the next thing that we're going to do. I know that over with my other co-host that we're going to discuss the original Battlestar Galactica, which everybody says is cheesy, hokey crap, and I believed them until I rewatched it, and I was like, no, this is actually serious, dead serious, and fantastic.
But also, even if it was cheesy, hokey crap, that doesn't mean you can't still enjoy it.
No, I mean, there's some stuff where I know is tongue-in-cheek, and I'm just like, whatever, I'll take my Gilligan's Island. I don't give a shit if they get off this island or not.
I'll take my Starship Troopers.
But, what's another one that, Knight Rider. Knight Rider is just ridiculous. I know people love that, but I was like, but I think it's cool that there's a connection between Knight Rider and Battlestar Galactica, and the fact that they use that little rotating thing in the Battlestar Vision, the Cylon's vision, and they put it in the car. I thought that was cool. Sure. Yeah.
I see.
And that's how
the cool.
Cylons
Anyway, I agree. I think that The Stand is worth watching. It has a little, there's a struggle at times with some cheesy dialogue and some, not great special effects, but this came out in 1994. What do you expect?
Yeah, it was
Just
TV.
Take it for like what it is, and some good acting and a crazy story.
Yeah, I know that Ben
Right?
Affleck tried to do it. He tried to adapt it a few years ago when he was red hot after Argo. And he just couldn't piece it together. They talked about doing it as 2 movies and one super long movie. And I think the best way to do it, if you're going to remake it, is there's 4 pieces. Make a small season, like 8 episodes for each story. So like the first, say the first hour and a half of the movie of the disease breaking out, that's the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Second season is dealing with the death. The third is them getting together in the group, and then fourth is the final showdown.
Yeah.
Like just a total of like 24 episodes.
Like mini seasons on Netflix.
Yeah, and I'm sure they cut stuff out of the book that they could put into the show, because like we walk into episode 3 and all of a sudden you find Gary Sinise on the ground trying to save someone's life. You're like, what the hell just happened? Did I miss something? Did I skip an episode?
Oh yeah, and the whole him and Molly Ringwald character getting together kind of happened behind the scene too, because we actually thought we had missed something, and we went back and we're like, wait, when did this happen?
Well, Larry got married, and I don't remember any of that all of a sudden. So I feel like they could expand upon it. There's probably stuff that was cut out of the book.
Well, I mean, the book is like 1,000 pages or something.
Yeah.
There's still, even though they made a 6-hour movie, there still had to be tons of stuff that was cut out.
Right. And then, there's an expanded edition they put out like on its anniversary, which is like another 150 pages or something like that. So that's 2 episodes.
I think the original version was like 800 and something pages, and the one that they released, the anniversary edition, was like the original uncut version.
Gosh, okay.
So it's like 1,100 pages or something.
All right, so that is it for us here at Next Planet Over. Check us out on Facebook. I guess that's it. Have a good night.
That's it.
Bye.
You
know what? Hold on. Before we go, there is one thing I want to say. I forgot about this until I was ready to hit. I was ready to hit stop. There was something that really bothered me, is the fact that they had the Rat Man. And I'm like, wait, you already have the Trash Can Man. Then you're gonna add the Rat Man, and the Rat Man's a completely useless character. And but I did find it amusing. I was like, that's all right. The Rat Man forgives you this time.
Yeah, he was very odd.
It's the pause.
I kind of
forgives you on this time. But I just kept thinking of when John Voight in Anaconda was like, snakes don't bite. Oh, they don't.
Oh, they don't.
Okay, that was it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.